Hello, everybody. Welcome to My Two Cents with Lady Alexi. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day today. If you haven't found me on YouTube yet, you can find me on YouTube for My Two Cents podcast. So I want to go over a few things today, and we're going to start with this. So that being said, we have a really bunch of bullshit going on in the Senate and everything today, or across this country, with all of the bills being written across the world about us here in the LGBTQ. And they start with this. Texas Bill 3147 basically says that relating to the detainment and housing of juveniles and inmates and biological sex. And so what that basically means is that any juvenile that goes into the court systems, unfortunately, are going to end up with some serious problems if they identify different from the gender in which they were born at. It says that if they're a male prisoner, they will go to a male juvenile detention center. If they're a female at birth, they will go to a female. And that is not good because it's not safe for these children. That being said, they've also implemented another bill, Texas Bill 2862, which deals with adults. And basically what this says is the same thing. It says relating to confinement of inmates according to biological sex. And inmates according to biological sex means if you were born a male at birth, you're going to be going to a male prison. If you were born a female at birth, you're going to go to a female prison, regardless of what gender you identify with. So if you're a trans man, you will still go to a women's prison. If you're a trans woman, you will still go to a male's prison if you still have your parts. Also, it's going by the birth certificate and your biological sex. These bills are dangerous, and they put prisoners at risk for assaults, death, rape, sexual assault, abuse, beatings, and many other things. These bills continue, and it's bullshit. It's simple fucking bullshit. I don't even know if we're live. It doesn't even show that we're live. Oh, it does show that I'm live. Okay, good. We also have Ohio House Bill 68. Basically what this says, it's a revised code regarding gender transition services for minor, and to name this act the Ohio Saving Adolescence and Experimentation SAFE Act, which basically says that they're banning any minor from getting gender affirming care. If you follow this bill, the latest text in this bill pretty much says that when allocating parental rights and responsibilities of parenting time, a court shall not consider a parent's decisions to do any of the following, which basically is taking the rights away from parents to decide care for their children. This is a really bad bill. This takes away parental rights. This takes away the rights of parents in order to treat their children. And when you take away the rights and the state starts telling you how to raise your children, we have bigger problems. This is a massive issue right now with the country, right? So the country is sitting here and they are writing these laws based on their religious bullshit, their religious beliefs, their set of mind, their whatever political agenda. And most of this is lined up from the Alliance Defending Freedom. And so you have this, and this takes away a parent's right to teach, or to not to teach, but to get their child gender affirming care. If you look at Missouri House Bill 1364, it says establishing the offense of engaging in adult cabaret performance or organizing and authorizing the viewing of an adult cabaret performance, and the offense of organizing or authorizing the viewing of a drag queen story hour. These are the things that our lawmakers have to do. And this bill basically says an adult cabaret performance is a performance that appeals to a prurient interest in a location other than an adult cabaret that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, drag queens, or similar entertainment who provide entertainment regardless of whether the performance is for consideration, characterized by describing the essential character and or dominant theme. So a child, any persons under the age of 14, or child pornography, any obscene material or performance depicting sexual conduct. When the fuck did pornography include depicting sexual conduct? I understand, like, nudity. Like, I get that. And I get the sexual conduct is nudity. Sexual contact as defined, blah, blah. Sexual performance is what? Somebody who does something sexual when they move. So if they twerk, that's sexual. If they sway their hips, that's sexual. I mean, these fucking laws are just bullshit. Not only that, we have another one. We have Missouri House Bill 1332 authorizes a tax on the endowments of qualifying institutions of higher education and corresponding endowment tax revenue triggered income tax rates. Basically what this means is that it's going to imply a tax on anybody that teaches anything, right? So, let me see. Is that the other one I looked at? No, that's a different tax. Never mind. We'll go back to the other one. Maine House Bill 930, that's an error on my part. This one says an act to only allow students of female gender to participate in women's and scholastic sports. So another one banning gender affirming sports for kids. However, you notice it says women and girls, doesn't say anything about boys. These fucking laws are always depicting girls. They never, ever, ever depict a trans man or anything. It's constantly about women in sports, women in sports, women in sports. Look, folks, if you want to protect women in sports, the only way to protect women in sports is to stop sexual assault, stop pay disparities, stop, rape, and stop many other things. Hire women leaders. Give women the same opportunities that men had last year. Did you guys know that men had 1.1 million more opportunities in sports than women did? They have less equipment. They have less opportunity. They have smaller rooms to work out. They don't get the proper gear. They get less exception to men's sports. They get less TV coverage. They get less everything coverage. And it's all because of women are supposedly fragile, can't do anything for themselves, and they're treated as second-class fucking citizens, right? And we have more. We have Iowa House Study Bill 222. Basically, this is a bill for relating to children and students, including establishing a parent's or guardian's right to make decisions affecting the parent's and or guardian's child, modifying provisions related to the student's health screenings and or curriculum in school districts, accredited non-public schools and charter schools, other duties in school districts, competent private instruction, special education, making appropriations, and civil penalties. This is a big bill. This one basically says an act relating to children and students, including establishing a parent or guardian's right to make decisions affecting the parent and or guardian's child, modifying provisions related to the student's health screenings, curriculum, blah, 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 blah. So, subsection says, develop and make available on the department's internet site a comprehensive list of all notifications received, blah, 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 right? Kindergarten programs shall include experiences designed to develop healthy emotional and social habits and growth in the language, arts, communication, blah, blah. Basically what this does, if you go to read the bill even more, this bill says that, again, taking away parents' rights to make decisions for their children, whether it's gender-affirming care, whether it's their education, whether it's this, whether it's that, just more bullshit. Recently, Iowa House Joint Resolution 8 says the following: a joint resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution state regarding marriage. Basically what this one says is that marriage is between one man biological and one woman biological, to state that women and women, not married. Man, man, not married. Trans man, trans woman, not married. Trans man or trans woman, trans whatever, not married. One biological man, one biological woman. So if two trans men are married, if you want to take the biological tax, not married. If two trans women are married, if you want to biologically spec by their thing, not married. When did we start controlling fucking marriage? Why are we controlling marriage? What the fuck does marrying somebody you fucking love take away from anybody? Does it invalidate anybody's marriage? No, of course it doesn't. Does it take away your rights to say my marriage is valid of your quote nuclear fucking family? No, it doesn't. Marriage originally started out as a contract between two families for wealth or power. There is nothing biblical about marriage. They say it's biblical, but it's not. Long before the fucking Bible ever was written, marriage was between two motherfucking families in order to establish wealth, power, and succession. That is it. To have these laws is bullshit. We do not need to say what is legal when it comes to who we love. And if you notice something with all of these bills are fucking sponsored by motherfucking Republicans. Every last one of them. And I can show you right here. All Republican sponsors on this bill. Let's go take a look at a couple of other bills. Shall we? Let's look at this bill. Latest bill text, right? You go to the votes. Oh, no roll call on this one. But, oh, there it is. Sponsors of the bills. State and Health Human Services Committee primary sponsored bills. Okay, so. Of course, you're going to make a liar out of me, aren't you? Nonetheless, these bills are sponsored all by Republicans. There are not Democrats bringing down these fucking bills. I can tell you that right the fuck now. Nobody in the Democratic Party is going to be sponsoring these motherfucking bills. Every last one of these bills is sponsored by a fucking Republican. So you go back, you get the Iowa Study Bill 1197. This one is another one banning gender affirming care for minors. You have House Bill Study 214, an act regarding transition procedures, again in the Iowa for minors. Again, 482. Another bill providing from, this is another bathroom bill in the state of Iowa. A bill for an act prohibiting persons from emptying single or multiple occupancy toilet facilities in elementary and secondary schools that do not spawn with the person's biological sex. Republican 1-0 partisan bill. Of course, another one sponsored by Republicans, basically saying that if you're a trans woman, you cannot use the ladies' bathroom. If you're a trans man, you cannot use the men's bathroom. Now we're fucking playing the bathroom police, just like Kansas. And we all know that Kansas introduced another fucking bill stating that now transgender people, even adults, cannot use the bathroom in their state. Now Missouri is going after trans adults, saying that you have to give this impossible fucking list of things that you need to meet in order to even fucking transition. They say that if you're depressed, you cannot transition. It has to be cured before you can transition. Well, if you're depressed, it's because you're fucking haven't transitioned. The treatment for your depression is transition. They also say if you have autism, that you cannot transition. What the fuck does autism have to do with fucking transitioning? So because you're autistic, that you don't know what gender you are? Is that it? There is a range of people that are autistic, everyone from a little bit to a lot of it. What the fuck is going on in this fucking country? So many fucking bills, and that's not even a half of it. Iowa House Bill Study 208, a bill for acting permanent public schools to designate and allow the use of restrooms and changing facilities only by persons of the same biological sex and providing a private cause of action. So another one, keeping trans women and trans men out of locker rooms or changing facilities in which they feel comfortable using. Another bullshit fucking bill, because now it puts these kids at risk. It puts these kids at risk of fucking assaults. Why doesn't anybody understand this? Not only does it ostracize the child who identifies whatever gender it is they fucking identify, now they're ostracized. Now they're singled out in school and saying, you can't use this bathroom. You can't use this changing facility. And so it opens up these kids to be discriminated against and picked on and bullied and beat up and ostracized and made to stand out and say, you are not welcome. You are not enough. I don't understand. Georgia House Bill 653. This one is relating provisions related to profession and business so as to prohibit healthcare providers from performing specified practices on minors relating to altering a person's appearance relating to gender or provided related matters, blah, blah. This one says to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. This one, again, basically tells businesses and professions that prohibit healthcare providers performing anything on a minor, which basically says they can't alter their appearance. You know, gender-affirming care means so many different things. Gender-affirming care is not always medically related. Gender affirming care can be a haircut. It can be a dress. It can be putting a bow in your hair. It can be something different. So we can allow children, teenagers, to get boob jobs to make them more appealing to their boyfriends, nose jobs to make them more appealing to whatever it is they want. But we can't allow children to have gender affirming care, but we can allow children under the age of 18 to have fucking boob jobs and nose jobs and every other job they fucking want if they relate with their biological sex. What the fuck? Why is one good and the other is not? We allow children to be mutilated every fucking day when we allow boys to have circumcisions. That is a mutilation. Period. I don't care what the fucking reason is for it. I don't care why people do it. I don't care what your fucking excuse is. You can tell me it's more hygienic. You can tell me it's cleaner. You can tell me it's easier. You can tell me it's the way it's done. You can tell me it's about appearance. You can tell me blah, 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 blah. I don't fucking care. The bottom line, the point is you are mutilating your fucking kids. These are the types of things that are mutilating. We're making sexual decisions for our children at birth. At birth. There is something wrong with that. That is something that affects a child for the rest of their lives. A decision that we or anyone as parents make to cut off a piece of skin that they are naturally fucking born with, as to appeal to the general public, as in, oh, well, that's what your daddy did, or that's what women like, or that's what turns me on. Who the hell are you to make a decision for what turns you on for your kid? I don't care what anybody says. You're welcome to have your opinions, and that is absolutely fine. Circumcision is mutilation. Period. It is unnecessary. I was circumcised, and it affected me greatly. There are many things that happen during circumcision, for those of you that don't know. You ever seen a man with a curve in his penis? You know why he has a curve in his penis? He has a curve in his penis because he was fucking circumcised. This happens more often than not. So many fucking people are getting circumcised. And for what? Because that's what you think is sexually appealing to other people? We talk about children and mutilating children. It's okay to do this, but it's not okay to allow a child to go through some sort of gender affirming care, even if it means a haircut, even if it means hormone blockers by the time they go through puberty. Excuse me. We don't want to chemically castrate our children. Who the fuck is chemically castrating anybody? Yeah, it's a side effect of fucking hormone blockers, but death is a side of Tylenol. Has anybody ever taken the time to actually fucking read the warning label on any medicine that you actually take? Let's take omeprazole, for instance. Now, I take that, right? Let us see. So, the side effects of omeprazole, according to the National Health Institute, most common side effects: 1 in 100 people, headaches, nausea, being sick, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, constipation, or flatulence. Serious side effects that happen in less than 1 in 1,000 people. Your skin becomes more yellow, although this may be obvious on brown or black skin. Your pee becomes darker and you feel more tired. These are signs of liver problems. You can get joint pain along with red skin rash, especially on parts of your body exposed to the sun, such as your arms, cheeks, and nose. These can be signs of a rare condition called subacute cutaneous lupus erythematosus. This can happen even if you've taken omeprazole for a long time. Severe or persistent diarrhea. This can be a sign of inflamed bowel. Right? You can even go into rare cases of anaphylactic shock. Here's some long-term side effects of omeprazole. So if you take omeprazole more than 3 months, something as simple as a heartburn pill, low magnesium causes you to feel tired, confused, dizzy, cause muscle twitches, shakiness, or irregular heartbeat. If any of these symptoms, obviously tell your doctor. Taking omeprazole for more than a year may increase your risk of, you ready? Bone fractures, gut infections, vitamin B12 deficiency. Symptoms include very tired, sore, red tongue, mouth ulcers, pins, and needles, right? Omeprazole and stomach cancer, having problems swallowing, dysphagia, feeling or being sick, feeling full very quickly and eating, losing weight without trying. Speak to your doctor or pharmacist. Other side effects, right? For a full list of the yellow card information, let's take a look at this. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. The point is this. Look, here's the point. Omeprazole has side effects. Every fucking medicine you take has a possibility of some sort of side effect, no matter what that side effect may be. That side effect can be death. That side effect can be sterility. That side effect can be impotence. That side effect can be headaches, nausea, diarrhea, blah, 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 blah. There are side effects to every fucking medicine. And to say that you're chemically castrating our children, if they take puberty blockers to get into puberty, care that's going to save their motherfucking lives. And now every state wants to take it away. We even have states like Maine that are going after this. You have Iowa State Senate, a bill for prohibited activities regarding, again, gender transition for minors. Another one, defining the term sex, prohibiting an employee, contractor, or student in a public school from being required to refer to a person using personal titles or pronouns. This is a fucking pronoun bill. Now we're telling children, or now we're telling teachers that it's okay to discriminate against children. What the fuck is going on in this fucking world? Now it's okay to discriminate. We are only a little more than 120 days into the school year, or not even 120, 110, 115 days, whatever it may be into the year. And already we have so many laws, over freaking 400 laws that have been passed, or been introduced anyway into legislation. And these bills are greatly affecting everybody. Now we're going after adults in Missouri. Let's take a look at that Missouri bill, shall we? Let's take a look. Missouri's Attorney General announced new restrictions Thursday on gender-affirming care for adults in addition to minors in a move that is believed to be the first nationally and has advocates groups threatening to sue. The Attorney General, Andy fucking Bailey, announced plans to restrict health care of transgender people weeks ago when protesters rallied at the Capitol to urge lawmakers to pass a law banning puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery for children. But now the discussion was focused on minors, not adults. So, Missouri Attorney General spokesman Madeline Searing clarified in a statement later today that adults would also be covered. We have a serious concern about how children are being treated throughout the state. We believe everyone is entitled to evidence-based medicine and adequate mental health, she says. The rule, which includes 18 months of therapy before receiving any gender-affirming care, is set to take effect on April 27th and expire next February. The ACLU and Lambda Legal says the joint statement that they would take any necessary legal action to urge those affected by this. The Attorney General's so-called emergency rule is based on distorted, misleading, and debunked claims and ignores the overwhelming body of scientific and medical evidence supporting this care. Basically, what that means is now we've had all the experts testify. We've had doctors, we've had medical professionals, we've had organizations. There is over 17 medical organizations in this country that have testified to state that gender-affirming care is life-saving care. We've had scientists, we've had psychologists, we've had doctors. All these people are fucking testifying and stating how gender-affirming care is life-saving, and yet now we are equating and negating gender-affirming care for adults, telling them you have to go through impossible measures. Let me follow. So he's essentially attacking the entire trans community at this point. The National Center for Transgender Equality called the order deeply wrong in a tweet, adding that trans people of all ages across the state of Missouri deserve access to health care. The restrictions are a response to a former employee's allegations of mistreatment at a transgender youth clinic in St. Louis run by Washington University, and of course Bailey is investigating that institution. My office is stepping up to protect children throughout the state while we investigate the allegations how they're harming children, right? Okay. How does this even affect how does this affect adults? Well, healthcare providers will ensure any psychiatric symptoms from existing mental health comorbidities and the patient have been treated and resolved. Before providing gender-affirming care treatments under the new rule, physicians must also screen patients for social media addiction, autism, and signs of social contagion with respect to the patient's gender identity. The FDA approved puberty blockers 30 fucking years ago to treat children with precocious puberty. Basically what that is a condition that causes sexual development to begin earlier than usual. Sex hormones, synthetic form of estrogen and testosterone were approved decades ago to treat hormone disorders or as in birth control pills. The FDA has not approved the medication specifically to treat gender questioning use, but they have been used for many years for that purpose off-label. There's many medicines used off-label. Spironolactone is a heart medicine. It's meant to continue and curb your blood pressure. It's used to stop testosterone production when they realize that it will stop testosterone production. Right? So it's an off-label use, but it works. So this is common and it's an accepted practice for many medical conditions. Doctors who treat trans patients say those decades of use of proof treatments are not experimental. And they're not, because they've been doing this for 30 fucking years. These are not the first children to be cheated for gender-affirming care. The only reason you see more of it now is because of fucking social media. That is it. This is just getting ridiculous. So the House voted 103 to 52, mostly along party lines, to favor the ban, although bill's passage seems uncertain in the Senate. Excuse me. The House proposal is stricter than what is passed by the GOP-led Senate, where Democrats have more influence through the use of small tactics. Senators comprised to exempt care for minors whose treatment is already underway. The Senate bill would expire in 4 years. So let's see how this is going to affect adults, because obviously I am not getting what I'm looking for. So it's the SAFE Act, HB 419, would make it illegal for healthcare providers to perform gender-affirming surgery and prescribe hormone treatments. That is not for adults. That is the adolescents, not the adults. Oops. Okay, so Missouri Attorney General, again, new regulations Thursday, severely limiting gender-affirming care for both adults. So the ACLU is announcing going to take legal action to challenge the order, which is unfair, deceptive, fraudulent, and otherwise unlawful to provide a gender-affirming care to patients without informed consent and lengthy evaluations. Gender-affirming care is endorsed by medical groups, including the American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, and the World Health Organization, among many others. The measure is one of several ways gender-affirming care for adults is being targeted without a total ban. Here's some details of it. The order institutes a 3-year waiting period for medical intervention, requires psychological and psychiatric assessment. The assessment must consist of at least 15 sessions over 18 months, or at least 10 of which must be with the same therapist, to explore the developmental influences on the patient's current gender identity to determine, among other things, whether the person has any mental health comorbidities. Basically, is the person crazy? That is what they're looking for. Is the person crazy? Are they nuts? Do they not know what they're talking about? This is not something that just pops up. This is something that we have experienced for years. And we finally have the words to put with what the fuck is wrong. And now we can finally treat ourselves. We can finally get it fixed, and we can finally transition. For the love of God, I have never been happier in my life being able to finally be me. To not be me was the most terrible fucking thing that I have ever had. Those who transition would also be required to get medical follow-up for the next 15 years. Well, newsflash, people, I have to see a doctor once every 6 fucking months. I don't have a choice. Because gender-affirming care does not stop with just one injection of hormones. It is a lifetime thing. It is something you constantly have to see a doctor for. There are no such waiting periods for any other type of care in the entire fucking country. None. The new rule states that a patient must ensure they've received a comprehensive screening to determine whether the patient has autism. It does not specify whether this person, whether people with autism will be banned from treatment, but representatives for the Attorney General did not immediately respond to Axios' request for comment to clarify this. What he's saying is, Bailey said that he puts the emergency regulation in place to clarify that because gender transition interventions are experimental and have a significant side effect, state laws already prohibit performing these procedures in the absence of substantial guardrails that ensure informed consent and adequate access to mental health care. What that means is we already have healthcare. We already have informed consent. Informed consent is basically when you sit down, you talk to your doctor, you understand and clarify the risk of gender transition. You know what you're getting yourself into before you get into it. That is called informed consent. It is a meeting between you and your doctor to discuss all the ups and downs, changes, non-changes, what to expect, what not to expect, blah, 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 blah. You sign a form stating you know what it is. The form gets stored in the doctor's office or wherever the fuck they send it to, i.e. conformed consent. You're done. Which is exactly what I did, informed consent. But I started my transition in 2016, originally. Says, we will defend the rights of transgender people through any necessary legal action, just as we've done in other states engaging in this anti-science and discriminatory fear-mongering. State efforts to restrict gender-affirming care nationwide are moving beyond trans youth and increasingly towards us, i.e. adults. Gender-affirming care advocates say the efforts are proof anti-trans lawmakers want to block all access to those services, not just to restrict care to minors. And so, that's exactly it. This all started off to, quote, protect the children. Right? Protect children from what? From their parents getting them the health care and the treatment that they need? Because gender-affirming care is life-saving care. Whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, it makes no difference. This care saved my life. Saved my life. March of 2021, I put a fucking gun in my mouth. I pulled that goddamn trigger and thank the heavens that it didn't go off. But I was done. Transition saved my life. The state of Missouri and this fucking state that quotes they're going to, quote, protect children is going to kill children. They're going to kill adults. This is bullshit. The world needs to rise up. This country needs to rise up and say no more. This has now become nothing more than a witch hunt. And I'm telling you, it's not stopping with the trans community. I've already showed you one bill where they're going after to defining the terms of marriage. That's not the only state to do it. There are other states across our unions that have done exactly that. To define marriage between one woman and one man, and that is it. Which basically outlaws your fucking marriage in that state if it wasn't for the federal government. And if the fucking Republicans get in office in 2024, you can damn well guarantee that shit's getting written, overrode, and done, and they will have their way. They will continue to go after us. They will go after the black community. They will go after women's rights. They will go after contraception, interracial marriage. When does it stop? How much more are you all going to allow to happen before you finally rise up as allies and members of the LGBTQ and say no? When does it end? When does my life and your lives stop being told what we can do and controlled by our governments? The government doesn't have a right to tell you how to live. The government doesn't have a right to tell you where to live, how to get treated, how not to get treated. The GOP sits there. They're supposed to be the party of freedom. Freedom, 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 freedom. Well, here's the problem. While they're screaming freedom, 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 they're sitting here stepping on my freedom. And your freedom. And women's freedom. And marriage freedom. And every other freedom we have in this country. So it's freedom for thee and not for me. It's okay to say I want to live in a free country as long as you look like and live like and do what I do. This is not America. This is 1930 fucking Germany. The question is, will you stand up and say no more? Don't tell me your vote doesn't count, because it does. Because there have been local elections decided by one vote. Every vote counts. And this is the time where everybody, you have to stand up. You have to write your congressman. You have to call your congressman. You have to call your senators. You need to say, hey, what the fuck are you doing? We don't want this. If you're an ally, then prove you're an ally. Call your fucking congressman. Call your senators. Email them. Write them. Tweet them. I don't give a shit what you do. Get a hold of them and say, we the people do not want this. You are not representing our best interest. Why aren't we paying attention to real problems? We are spending millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, to discriminate and hate. You have states rolling back Jim Crow laws, creating separate court system for the black community. You have states that are telling you what marriage is. You have states telling you how you can treat your children, how you can parent your children. None of us want the government coming into our homes and telling us how to raise our children. It is time to stand up and say no. At the rate this country is going, we're headed into a civil war. It's going to happen. There are riots happening everywhere in this country. Police are arresting innocent protesters for simply protesting. State of Tennessee is ousting lawmakers because they don't agree with them. A state attorney is telling you how to get treated for gender-affirming care. You're allowing the government to tell you what is good and what is right. Look, I don't care what you believe in right now. The bottom line is this. Nobody has a right to tell you what to do or how to treat your children, regardless of your beliefs. If you don't like gender-affirming care, don't get it. If you don't want your kids doing it, then don't gender affirm your kids. That is your fucking right as their parent. However wrong it may be, it's right. It's about human rights. Nobody gave a shit about women's fucking sports until all of a sudden a trans person won, and she didn't even win that much. Like I said, I don't care what your belief in. I don't care what you believe in, what you don't believe in, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It all comes down to this. No one has a right to tell you what to do, regardless of your belief. You don't want to get an abortion, don't get one. But you don't have a right to tell somebody else what to do. You have a right to not participate or not do it or not allow somebody that you know to do it. And even that is crossing the line. You don't have a right to make medical decisions for anybody, and neither does our government. You know damn well that if you decided to make medical decisions and you got caught, you would be charged with malfucking practice. Well, why aren't we charging these people with malpractice? Because they're telling doctors how to treat patients. Doctors that went to school. Doctors that have an education, that are licensed to do this. Congressmen, your senators, yeah, they're not doctors. They're not licensed for this. And they have no business telling you how to do it. My name is Lady Lexi, and that is my 2 cents.